Welcome back to Everyday Courage with David Millstone
and Stephan Dweck.
We are here today with Joachim. I first just learned how to pronounce the damn guy's name, Joachim Moore. And close?
No,
Close?
you got it, man.
All right,
you got
cool,
it.
cool.
Yeah.
An actor in theater, film, and TV out on the West Coast. He is not just an actor, he's a producer and writer as well. He produces his own theater company. The name of the company is
The Inner Circle Art Society, which
Inner
is
Circle.
a nonprofit also.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And Josh is an extremely prolific writer of theater and film scripts. And when I first met Josh, I'm going to call you Josh, man, because I'm not going to screw your name up.
That's fine. You
I'm
got
not gonna
it.
do it
That's
again.
First name, you're my guy. You're my brother / dad.
Well, when Josh and I met,
That means you've been traumatized.
yeah, he has actually. We met a couple years ago in California, and when Josh was living in Palm Springs. And
nice.
Few months after we met, I got to see him work in his show Medgar X James about Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, and James Baldwin.
Oh,
It
wow.
was really, it was a show that knocked my socks off. I'm hoping this show actually leads to another piece that's going to be perhaps just about James Baldwin. I think who's a wonderful subject for a one-person show. I think he deserves the Mark Twain treatment. So hey.
I'm going to call him Josh, too. Can I call you Josh?
Please, man, please.
Oh, thank you. So tell me, I have a personal story with Baldwin. It's not in the history books, but I don't know if anybody wants it. But tell me about how you got interested in that before you go into your story, David, about courage. I just wonder why is that of interest and what made you want to do this?
Yeah, so there's so many things that came to the decision to do 3 prolific, not only just characters in a play, but 3 prolific real people in one play. But the biggest thing was that at the time when David met me, even before that, I was working in Palm Springs, working security at this place. Even before I met you, David, at this dispensary, I was working as a security guard manager. And right across from this place was this antique store that's still there, just relocated down the street. It's called Recycles. And the owner is this guy, another, I would say, multidisciplinary artist that created quilts and painted pictures. He was an artist and a huge advocate for the gay community in Palm Springs. And he just had so many different facets about him that was super interesting. So being the security guard, just looking at his store across the way, I'd be like, man, who is this guy? And so one day on my lunch break, I went in there and he had like 9 documentaries playing at once. And just like, so it was like a museum. And so I went in there and he had so many cool people that I took interest to, but these 3 figures in general, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, and James Baldwin. And James Baldwin, he had a corner of so much James Baldwin memorabilia that he created, t-shirts and paintings that he recreated. It's so hard to describe. I would recommend that you go check it out for yourself. And so I got to talk to him, and he was a very quiet gentleman. His name's Marty, owner of the store. And I asked him, why did he have all these characters, all these leaders? Why did he recreate these different images? Why did he create these different works of them? And he just said simply, I just want people to remember. Coming from myself, who went to college for history, as well as theater performance, the dork in me was like, this is my guy. This is my dude. So I took a liking to that guy. Every day we were in Palm Springs, and now that I don't have that job anymore, I was barely in there. Like I'd go check in and I was like, you guys good? All right, if you need something, I'm right across the way. The employees were cool enough to know what Josh has us, like if something goes down. So I would just go in there and spend some time, hang out with him, and I got so artistically inspired through that guy, and it was so cool. So I go home and tell my wife about all these different stories about all the stuff he had in his place. And she was like, oh, really? Wow. Okay, cool. Weren't you supposed to be at work? And I'd be like, yeah, but I was at work. And so anyway, I would credit that guy for re-inspiring me, because when I moved to Palm Springs at that time, it was 2020, and of course 2020 was a rough time. I was just coming from San Diego. Both me and my wife were down there doing kind of military purposes, and we were still kind of enjoying the assets of San Diego and the sunshine. And I will say that during 2020, I can't think of a better place to be, just because I mean you have the sun, and of course everything is super depressing around the world, but at least you have the sun.
Josh, it's kind of funny to hear you say that you found inspiration in this guy,
Yeah, of
because
course.
more than anybody else I've ever met, inspiration, it doesn't just flow through you, it crashes through you. It's like it's water in a waterfall. It's Niagara Falls. I don't I you're not you are unstoppable. I couldn't stop you if I wanted to. Nobody could. So that's, if I feel as if almost more than anyone else I've ever met, you need creativity to live and breathe. I can't imagine you in this world just getting by. No, so before you came you were in theater, of course. You did graduate studies in Chicago, but then there was a time you were in the Coast Guard. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, I did some. I was a reservist, and I worked with the oh gosh, what do you call it? The civilian side of it. And so I did a lot of stuff just hanging out in San Diego, which made it easier for me to create. I didn't want to go into full service because of just
I see.
like it made no sense. And then plus I knew that was something I wasn't trying to be like Popeye or anything. And even still, like I have a cool appreciation for them, and I still would like to get involved in even more activities in the future that allows me the comfortability to kind of take care, be with my family. I have a family
Yeah,
now, I
yeah,
have a kid now,
yeah.
but it was pretty cool.
So for many people, and myself included, who seek to be creative, seek to do creative work professionally, not just as a hobby, we have to find our courage to do it. You don't. You tell me or talk. Can you say something to us about what the role of courage is in your creativity, in your creative life? Does it take courage to do what you do?
Yeah, so that's for me. There's so much to it, and I don't know if you feel like this as a creative yourself, Mr. Stefan, but as a African American, a black guy in this country, we have to artistically, especially financially, so many different ways, obviously, but there's a significant amount of catching up that we have to do to put ourselves out there, to put our story out there. And it's because our story is not out there fully enough, which is the reason why we're having a lot of the turmoil in this country, because we can't put it out there. They're trying to hide it, and we keep trying to push it through art and music, and it's
Give me an
consistently
example.
misconstrued.
Give me an example of kind of what gets hidden.
I mean, it just our historical stories. I mean, if it's true that they tried to make what's her face, Harriet Tubman, then that's a prime example within
Yeah, yeah.
itself. You know what I mean? And I mean, what are we doing? So we have to play catch up. I feel like we have to play catch up. So for me, it's not actually the courage. There is a bit of courage to push forward, but it's a more of a must, because I have to, while I'm alive, I have to push out our story as much as possible. And it's not that every single thing that I write has to do with Pan Africanism or understanding the story or the struggles of an African American. It's just that African Americans after me have to see, is it after or before I get dyslexic? The kids have to see that someone can do this too. Somebody can tell multiple different stories as well from their own perspective that looks like them. And
So
so I have to play
you have
catch
your
up.
son Sterling in mind as you hear some.
Yeah, yeah. But let me touch on this really quick. So that's why I do so much different art, because I have to feel like I have to push all that stuff out there from my perspective. And I know that that's really important because we don't have a lot of people like us that can do that. That's all. That's all. Okay.
Well, let me ask you a question. Clearly, you're a storyteller. What are your thoughts about the current state of black cinema? What do you feel about what's going on today? Not you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you said it was like you asked me. I was like, no, what?
No, the
Don't
black
ask me.
guy.
That's the black dude. That's Josh about that.
Is this
Yeah,
for me?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
for
for
you.
you.
Well, I mean, it's every now and then we get one, right? I mean, I'm so glad that Center is out there and people are seeing that stuff, and I'm so proud of Ryan Coogler and the tandem he has with Michael B. Jordan. But how many more do you think we have out there? And that's the problem that we have. So for every one that we get, maybe 35 are put out in a different direction. And so that one that we get has to be really good. And that one that we get has to be a really potent story. And that's why that story is so potent, because in a lot of cases, people like Ryan Coogler knows that we don't get that opportunity to get a lot of our stuff out there. So the state of Black cinema is it takes a rare kind to hop in there. At least in terms from the status of like a Quentin Tarantino, or like I don't know, not even below something like that. I mean, it's tough. And then you have, and this is not a problem, but you already have an influx of British actors coming to tell African American stories. And so, as an actor and then as a writer, it kind of leaves us like, well, where do we get to tell our story? Like, if my mom is from Greenwood, Mississippi, and I'm trying to be casted in a show or a movie that plays a civil rights worker or an enslaved person from that area at that time, and some British guy gets the role instead of me. You know what I mean? How do you think I'm supposed to feel off that when my relatives are from that area,
The
and they,
original, right?
exactly. And
The
so,
original.
and it's okay, I guess, if I'm bad for the role, then it's okay. If I don't look like, whatever, but it kind
Well,
of sucks to.
yeah. I mean,
So it's interesting. It's
I'd rather
interesting.
I agree. I'd rather the actor for a particularly African American role be from Birmingham, Alabama, than Birmingham, England.
Yeah, 100%. You got
I
it.
get. I
Because
mean,
yeah.
like I forgot a British actor played. I think Martin Luther King. It was in a TV movie or it might have been a theatrical release.
Yeah, it was theatrical.
And I was talking to my mother, rest in peace, about the training that some British actors get, which is extraordinary. Some of the British they get, and my mother looked at me and said, "Well, we were the original. They can't find somebody here," and I had to kind of shut me up. So
Right.
I get where you're coming from. Go ahead, David. You want to ask a
Right.
question?
No. Well, I mean,
No,
one thing I really
but
admire.
I had a follow-up question. If you
Please
want.
do. Yeah.
I love what you said. What is the cause that we only get 1 out of 35? Where does this come from? Is the racism baked in, or maybe it's not racism?
Oof, it's you know what? To be honest, it's embedded in so much research that one would have to do themselves. But I can give you some bullet points.
Sure.
It's Hollywood has to go a certain way. It seems like I'm very new to the game, but just it's how one way it's how you market yourself, how you put yourself out there, and I guess that's all I got right now. But a lot of it has to do with your own research and what you can compile together. That's all I. That's because that's what I've been having to do myself, and I've noticed that and I I don't even talk to that many people. I stay here a lot and just
I
hang
understand
out with
that.
my son. So, but it seems like when you talk to a lot of people about it, everybody obviously has different views and stuff.
No,
So,
Anthony Mackie, talks a lot about how there's only like one or two guys at a time who are allowed to be famous, one or two black guys at a time. And I
huh,
saw him on a video clip recently, and he talked about how there's always 4 or 5 young dudes coming up who get a lot of attention, and then they're around for through their 20s, and then Hollywood stops paying attention to them anymore.
This morning, I don't know, I'm not name dropping. I'm not a Hollywood guy, Josh, but this really happened. So I was speaking to Warrington Hudlin this morning. For those Warrington produced the House Party and Boomerang and Bebe's Kids and The Great White Hype, a bunch of movies, and his brother's Reggie. And we were talking about it, and I asked myself, you doing any movies lately? And he was discussing, I'm just doing AI. He said, the digital world has democratized film, and the gatekeepers can't keep me down. This is what he told me this morning. This morning. He said, this is what I'm doing. The way I can make a movie, I don't need casting. All the different components to make a film. He says, I don't need that. And I'm full-fledged into AI. And we were talking about how the gatekeepers, and he used some choice words, but the gatekeepers who only allow one film, 2 films maybe a year that are, let's say, quality, and I'm not going to badmouth anybody, but he said, F that. I'm going to do my own, make my own. And this is what he's doing. What are your thoughts
Yeah,
about that?
which is really important. I was always just, again, it goes back to history for me. I was always historically inspired by a guy named Oscar Micheaux.
Sure,
Oscar
no, of
Micheaux is an
course.
African American filmmaker from I don't know, 1912, a very short stint, but 1910 to about 19, I want to say right before the Great Depression. And so he made a nice little stint of films in Florida. And I was inspired from that as a kid. And I was like, okay, if nobody's going to sponsor me, if he can do this in an era where right down the street he's headed to set and he sees somebody hanging from a tree,
Mhm.
then I could probably manage to scrape a few dollars and get a
Sure.
couple buddies to put together a handheld camera to film some stuff right
Good
now.
for you.
And so I don't know, it's kind of funny. I'm
Didn't
the youngest of six. And go ahead.
well, didn't he create the movie The Response to Birth of a Nation? He created a
He did.
movie. He created a response to that movie. The movie came out in 1919 or 1918. Around that time, with the year was a lot of lynching going on. The red, they call it the Red Year, I think. I'm not sure exactly.
No, yeah, no.
But actually, Oscar created a response on
Mm-hmm.
his own, with his own money, to the racism in that movie to try to show black people in a better light. So
Yeah,
kudos that he's an
exactly.
inspiration to you.
So that's so funny you just mentioned that. In the CCS Bard right now in New York, in a museum. So I'd encourage you guys to check this out. I'm gonna go. I was gonna try to go next week or last week, but I had to make sure I take care of my little man here. From June 21st, I'm looking at it right now, to November 30th at the Hessel Museum of Art. There was this guy that I worked with, awesome guys, this Canadian gentleman, Canadian, African Canadian, if you will. It's so hard not to say African American. And his name's Stan Douglas, and really cool guy, a visual guy. And I'm just gonna read this to you. And this is, I was actually the lead actor in this, and it was another version of Birth of a Nation. And so Stan Douglas Ghostlight will be the artist's first survey in the U.S. in over 20 years, and will chart his global influence and innovation across 40 works from the 1990s to the present. The exhibition will present the world premiere of an immersive multi-channel video installation that revisits D.W. Griffith's 1915 film Birth of a Nation. And so it talks about the transatlantic slave trade, and the way that they did this was awesome. I did everything by, so we did this at the Manhattan Beach Studios in Manhattan Beach in California, or obviously here in California by Long Beach. Everything was behind a blue screen. They actually did it in the same place that they filmed The Mandalorian. So it was so cool. And it was really interesting to do that project. That was actually, David, that was my last non-union project. And so that was my last non-union project and my most paid project I've gotten paid on to this day. I'm like, damn.
We got to get you paid.
But
So,
you're
so, so,
right.
so, Josh, one of the things about you is that when we first met, you really were hungry to get into film TV. You really wanted to go mainstream. While at the same
Yeah.
time, you were being really indie. And I mean, you're doing these shows in this tiny little, renovated movie theater in Palm Springs, right? But I hear you talk about your work. And even as you do move closer and closer to mainstream film and TV, I'm checking. I helped you do that. I'm really proud of that. I got you an agent. Right? Very happy
I
about that.
wanted to tell that story,
Yeah,
man.
that's right. We can
He
Come
made
maybe.
on.
you an agent?
Yeah, I did. I got him an agent.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So,
He
but
hooked it
anyway,
up.
but even as you move into more mainstream work, as you get out there more and you begin to make more money, you are clearly retaining this really powerful indie spirit, which I don't think. I mean, I know people in New York, actors and filmmakers who have indie spirit, but for somehow or another, it kind of comes off you in bigger waves.
Would you like
That's
to know
interesting.
why?
Yeah, I would want to know
It,
why.
it's
Davis.
because I can do it myself.
There you
I can,
go.
I've always believed I could do all of this stuff myself from an early age. And I watched my brother in high school when I was in second and third grade be the Pharaoh and Joseph Technicolor Dreamcoat. And uniquely, where my brother went to high school, it wasn't just cool to play football. It's cool to do theater too. So you could get a Letterman jacket, do theater, and all the girls would be trying to ask for your number and all that stuff. So I was like, oh snap! Like I want to be like my brother. And so I saw that at an early age and saw his fearlessness on stage. And then I saw the way the director worked, and I saw how the band worked in the orchestra pit. It was a school that was pretty influenced by theater. It was a big theater school, but a pretty big sports school. Anyway, I saw all that. And I just knew I wanted that when I got older. And I assessed every sort of position in theater. And I knew that that would be a strong parallel to film once I got older, because I felt once, especially once I got to my undergrad, I felt like I was wrapping theater up. I had already done some professional theater in Chicago, and I knew that and the Chicago theater is nothing like Chicago theater. I know people would like debate me with like, the New York theater, Chicago theater, but they will tell you when you're bad, and probably in New York, but they'll let you know in Chicago too, boy. And so I was always molded in a very like iron fist type of training. And it wasn't necessarily the training that you would need to incorporate different accents and different dialects. It was more so just that you could tell by a person's facial expression, or people would just walk out of the performance on you. And
I would really have loved to have seen your Othello. God damn.
And so
having seen you on stage, having seen how little filter there is between you and the emotional material, man, I would have loved to have seen that.
Oh well, hey, it's not too late. I'll get it one day. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna definitely go back. I like what Denzel did. I applaud him. You know, it's one of my favorite actors of all time.
Well,
so,
the reports are though that he sucked. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, that play got savaged here.
Man, I'm sorry, Denzel.
But I like Denzel, but
Gyllenhaal didn't do the work.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't do the work.
You didn't did you see the play?
I did not. That's the word on the street. That's the word from the rehearsal room. It's word from the house.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Look at his face. Look,
Denzel's someone I have a huge respect for.
But look,
huge. But
I'm not mad at somebody taking the swing. Look,
did he though? I'm not. That's where I'm mad at. That's what I'm mad about. It doesn't sound like he actually took the swing.
That he put the work. Well, he showed up and he put his
showing up.
I mean,
I don't know.
Broadway is not easy. And so, I mean, and these guys have nothing to gain. They're stars already.
That was a vanity project. I'm sorry. This was a vanity project. This is a Broadway vanity project, this show.
I think they figured people would come there for like the sense of like Denzel theater nostalgia too. They probably made some decent money, right? They probably made decent money.
Huge money.
So, I mean, it worked. Look, I don't...
Yeah.
If you want to do something creative, I don't fault you. Big swings, go for it. I need to go to more Broadway. Maybe David, you can get me some tickets. We should go.
But I'd love to see Josh do. I'd rather see Josh do Othello than Denzel. To tell you the truth.
I appreciate that.
I
would love to do it.
I wanted to say something.
Again. Yeah.
I wanted to say something. I had a question. One, it kills me that mainstream Hollywood, let's say the mainstream, some of their most celebrated movies are incredibly racist. And they, from Birth of a Nation, I mean, they're always celebrating Gone with the Wind. It's this and it's that.
Exactly. You look at even
my family, I'll tell you about personal family history. That movie, Gone with the Wind, was banned in my house.
Wow.
You could not go see that movie. My
family I think it was in mine too. Yeah.
And I just saw some report the other day where if you adjust for inflation, it's the highest grossing movie ever. Racist. I mean, come on. So I've never really seen it, and I've seen snippets of Hattie McDaniel's performance, snippets of it, but they never include how they might have one line of how it might have offended some people, but they never really explore the racism in both those movies. I think they got a Cecil B. DeMille Award at the Oscars, right?
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't he have one? So that pains me to some degree. But that wasn't a credible statement. But I wanted to ask you, you went to Hollywood. How was that adjustment? How did you get along in Hollywood with people who were also trying to get their work done? How was your interaction with other actors, producers, directors? How'd you deal with that? And the courage.
You're still dealing. You're still learning to deal with it.
And the courage to go out there and make it happen.
Yeah. So David said exactly what I was just gonna say. I'm still working through it. I'm still trying to navigate through it. It's really interesting to what I try to do. What I've realized that I've needed to do within like the first couple of interactions is just try to remain as neutral and as positive as possible. So I just go in there, especially like if it's like, I start in the makeup room or go change, or I see people in the morning. I greet people and I ask them how their day is first, just so I can assess how I need to react. But
Does that feel like you're trying to be a safe black guy for people?
no, no, I'm just trying to,
Good
for me,
question.
yeah. No, no, for me, and I think it has to do with the regional difference. Like, I come from a
Hmm.
very blue collar town where, like, I'm just trying to get the work in. Like, if I see that you're trying to discriminate to me, especially in Milwaukee, we shut that shit down real fast. And then, and then we just keep going. Like, I don't know if you know
Hmm.
too much about Milwaukee, but like,
No.
yeah, come take a visit. It's a really non-tolerant place. Bernie Sanders learned a lot of things that he learned from there. So I don't know how one would feel about that guy, or just like people who kind of stand for like, the Cesar Chavez's and a lot of people like that. But in the immediate area of Milwaukee, we're very non-tolerant in that way because we don't have time. We just want to work. And so I've attributed that blue collar mentality to art. And so I just want to get the work in. I have so much to put out. And so I don't have time to waste. And so if anybody, tries to put me down or in any way that it comes to me like I'm not busy enough to see, then I have to, I just take care of it really fast and then we
Let me
move on.
take another tack with you just for a second. So, I mean, you just are fearless as a creative artist, utterly fearless. So when I first saw your show, I saw the opening night of his show, Stefan, in Palm Springs, and he knows I'm out there. I flew out there to see the show, and I'm out there. I'm taking mental notes. I'm taking
He's the
mental notes.
man. He's the man. He's the guy,
He's
man.
in the high cotton. He flew private, and
Yeah,
he's in Palm Springs.
probably. That I was wondering why you were there in 20 minutes from New York.
I have families
Because
in San Diego.
I
Remember
got
that.
it like that. That's what he said.
Right.
My
I'm the
mom's in
man.
San
Right.
Diego. My mom and sister in San
Right.
Diego. Anyway, that opening night, I see the show. I'm taking notes. I'm seeing, there's some rough edges. The show's great, but there's some things that could use some work. And I'm waiting for Josh to greet all his well wishers after the show, and finally the theater empties. And Josh comes barging in back down through the aisle, center aisle, going, "All right, notes, let's work." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! You've got another performance to do. You have this little run with 2 or 3 nights." I was like, "No, we'll talk after you've done the run." He's like, "Nope, right now." And
Good for
so
you.
he just wanted, and we did. We sat there for another hour, kind of doing notes on the show after his opening night. I went to second night, I believe. Yeah. And he
Probably. I
fucking
think
took the
so.
notes. He took the notes. It was amazing. I would never have been able to do it. I was like, holy shit. He got like 90% of what we talked about. And the show just began to glow up even more.
This was
So
in
Oh,
Palm
thanks.
Springs, right?
is Palm Springs. So
Yeah, it
Josh,
was in Palm Springs.
Josh
Thanks,
is
man.
utterly fearless in his creative life.
You have to be.
Josh, man, where do you feel fear? What makes you afraid? Where do you have to dig down to find some courage to move forward?
Besides this podcast.
Besides his podcast.
No, no, no. That's the fear of not being able to tell the story that I want to tell.
Mm.
Like there's always a story, and I'm like, man, I hope I like don't like. I mean, God forbid, but I'm like, I hope I don't get hit by a car today because I really want to tell this story. Like I just want to be alive to tell the story that I want to tell, and it's not about so much wanting to be alive. It's just wanting to broadcast my mission. And I think that's just to help teach people about what we can be in this country, in this world, through art. I do that through art. I don't. Sometimes my nonprofit is the slogan is called Art for the People, and it's for people to just understand that they can be a sense of themselves. Oscar Wilde has a quote. He says, "Be yourself," because everybody else is already taken. And so I want so much for everybody to understand that it's okay to be yourself. And for myself, I grew up playing sports, and I think that's where the competitive aspect kind of comes I play sports now. I'm training for baseball again next year. I took a year off, so and I just want to succeed in all those facets.
What
and,
about you? What
and I
about
want,
in your home life, family life? You're with Maddie and
you don't hear
Sterling.
this loud baby in the hallway here? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
No.
No.
And then also, do I remember correctly that you come from a mixed race family as well as mixed politics family back in Michigan?
No. I mean, no. You're close, but
It's
for
okay,
me,
okay. I was close in your
my
name too, but not close enough.
you're like, so I hear you're part Asian American and Polynesian and
Yeah. And I'm part I'm part milkman and part mailman.
there you go. There you go. No, yeah. No. Now, David, are you talking about my own personal family? Are you
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about my with
you're
my son and my
no,
wife?
no, no, you're for no, 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 no.
My
Um,
family.
yeah, I was
My dad.
your family of origin. I was
Yeah, yeah,
thinking
yeah,
of.
yeah. So my mom, again, yeah, my mom's from Greenwood, Mississippi. She grew up from there. That dates back to Greenwood. LaFleur it was a Native American gentleman in that area, and he was forced to work with the Confederates to have that land, which is known today as Greenwood, Mississippi. And LaFleur County is the county, but it's the same guy. And so, long story short, I'm related to him in a tumultuous way. And my dad's Jamaican, and so my dad grew up in Mobile, Alabama, and that alone for Jamaican is a lot of history within itself. That migration from Dauphin Island to the Caribbean, to Dauphin Island from the Caribbean. And
Oh wow.
so there's a lot of culture embedded in both of those that I was fortunate enough. And before I go further, there's a lot of culture embedded in a lot of us. It's just that a lot of people don't ask the right questions to understand what was before us. And then, it's hard for us to take pride in who we are if we don't understand what was before
Yeah, well,
us.
and also, we just don't have a lot of information about ourselves. So, I am Jewish on my father's side. My mom converted to Judaism, so I'm a Jew. But she came from the South. She came from New Orleans and was raised as a Methodist, I believe. But she has enough Choctaw and Cherokee in her that
What
one
was your
of her
mom? What was your mom's last name, if you don't mind me asking?
Smith. So it doesn't really help very much. So they're Choctaw Cherokee, and then just sort of wandering white person. They come from the
Josh,
kind
what do
of
you think it was, Running Bear? No, it's Smith.
Yeah, pretty much. Probably British, worked their way down Mississippi River and was like, okay, this
uh,
works out.
we think Irish. We think Irish, but one of my aunts would keen, in the trailer out back. So there's enough kind of mixed up culture there that that's churning around. You've got the Trail of Tears somewhere buried deep inside you in your body in some
Oh,
non-verbal way. And
Yeah, my
my
mom
mom.
is Choctaw. My mom is
Oh, there you go.
75%. That's why my
I
mustache
knew we
is
were
so
brothers.
silk.
I knew it. I knew it.
I'm just playing. No, I'm just messing with you. But yeah, no, but anyway, no, that's true though. It's interesting how that works. And the melting pot of this country, it should be easy to understand how united we should be. Anyway, what else you guys
totally.
got for me?
You got a lot,
Really?
but David, you want to take it?
No, you first. You first.
No, I mean, I was just your opinions about cinema taken well. I think it's very, very insightful.
Yeah.
I wish that some of the buffoonery and
Mm.
coonery wasn't in, particularly black cinema, but it sells, and there are people who will buy.
I
And
know.
so trying to be vox clamatis in deserto, a voice crying in the wilderness,
Hmm.
you're out there sometimes alone. I mean,
Hmm.
there's 40 movies and yours has substance and 39 are soul plane. So, I mean, I'll just name what it is. And so, I mean, even the people
Right.
who did that movie don't like that movie. I mean, it's
So,
Yeah, I
Josh,
know.
how are you
But
doing
I will
with?
say, really quick, I will say there's an upside to having the exclusivity to my films, being able to make my films by myself and do my own thing. Maybe I don't want to put a lot of this stuff out into the world because a lot of this stuff, if it is culture based, we see how some of our stuff gets kidnapped and some of our styles get taken. So maybe a lot, at least for me, some of the stuff I like to have in enclosed movie theaters where I can seat like 90 to 100 people, take it to another city and do the same thing, and then create the buzz that way. And that's how you create that black exploitation shaft kind of buzz that we used to have within
Or
our
Walling.
own culture. Yeah, that was okay, you know. I mean, it
Well,
had different variations of it,
I wish
but
that we
anyway,
would look at some of the movies, those movies that they hold in such high regard. Birth of a Nation, which a lot of film historians do, and Gone with the Wind is celebrated. While other communities, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right, what her name was, Leni Riefenstahl,
Reifenstahl, yeah.
who made that tribute to Hitler, and she was, I don't know, blackballed, but she was condemned. And I think we need to have some of that same kind of attitude to those movies. I'll
yeah,
leave
for
it at
sure.
that. That makes
Yeah,
sense,
and I
David? I don't know. You know, it's
yeah,
that bad.
I do love actually like I won't participate in anything that sounds like anything like that, anything of that sort, but I do love to participate in other people's films too. With all that being said, I love my own projects, but the reason why I was able to obtain my SAG card, I feel like is because of the variation I had playing different people, not just like my own characters. And so yeah, David definitely helped me out with a Pacific Northwest agent that I'm super grateful for. And I
Which,
think
Well,
after
which is
not a,
that,
leveraging into bigger stuff, I think.
look, I'm not just talking the game. I got a client of mine got offered a role in a movie called Who's Your Caddy? Came
heard that
out,
movie.
it's out there, and I told the producer, this is racist, and we're not going to be involved. So I'm saying, we walk the walk. You just have to carve out your niche, do the best you can, and fight
Exactly.
the
You
good
got
fight.
it.
All right,
That's
gentlemen,
right. That's
we
right.
are going to revisit this discussion at some other point because
Well, Josh is great. We
running
need
out
more
of time.
time with Josh.
We do. We need a shit ton more time with their Josh. Before we go, we're gonna do a
No.
yeah, man. Stefan hates this shit. We're doing we're used to do Rose and Thorn. We're now down to Rose or Thorn because it takes us too
Oh,
long
I
to
like
talk
the
about.
or. I like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
or.
So, Josh, we like to just like kind of quick lightning round for where we get to share with each other an instance from the last week or so when we either failed or succeeded in a moment when courage was needed. I think for myself, there was a moment with my wife this week in which I was being a little irascible with her. Stefan knows I can be that way. And and it took me a bit to hear her. And I had to struggle for a moment to hear her and not just merely apologize, but actually acknowledge the situation and go, "Oh yeah, right. There's something more here going on." So that's my thorn for the week. What about you, Josh?
You want me to go before Josh?
Sure, or yeah, the
Yeah,
other one.
you
Josh,
got
you go.
one.
Oh, Josh has
You
one.
got one? Let me see here. The thorn for the week. Which one? I'm just trying to think of the proper thorn.
Can be
multiple,
small.
multiple thorns he has.
Yeah, I think for me it's just the patience that I'm learning to have in general. Just not just world events. I'm my own creativity, just so much. The pace of how I want to do things. And lately it's been kind of bugging me. Every time that's been bugging me, I've been going on what I call these turtle walks, where I go. We got some really nice grass up here in Northern California, so we go on these park walks. I try to go as many as I can with my son. So we go, and I go on these turtle walks on this path. And my son is always like turtle, turtle, and that doing those things like just those like little 30-minute walks kind of help ground me and give me that better sense of patience and telling myself that I need to relax and just let everything kind of play out. If I'm doing the right thing, everything will work out all right.
And for
And
someone with
so,
your kind of energy,
Good answer.
propulsive energy, I think becoming quiet like that, it does take some courage. What about you?
yeah, it does. It really does
Oh,
because you feel like you want to address so many topics and you want to talk
Yeah,
to do so many things.
yeah.
yeah, I'm glad. I got to bounce in a few minutes, but we got a couple of minutes. Having patience, and something Josh alluded to, that things are going to be out. I got to make 5 deals to get one in my world. Things explode all the time. And to let it go and to keep moving forward, taking the hits and keep moving forward. And usually things work out for the best, and not to take things so personally, because it's not about that. It's just trying to move forward. And the other component of courage, the courage on this phone call to tell you about my run-in with James Baldwin. James Baldwin, I'm from Harlem, and so is he. When I was a kid, I wasn't much become a teenager. About 5 o'clock in the morning, I think I was going running or something. There was an after-hour club on 101st Street, right off of Central Park West. And all the jazz guys used to hang out between 100th Street and 104th Street. Art Blakely, Miles Davis. And I met all of these guys, right? I could tell you stories about them, too.
I've got Art Blakey stories, by the way.
Yeah. He grew up right on... He lived on 103rd Street on Central Park West. But anyway.
That's awesome.
James Baldwin, how do I say this?
Just hit.
He was really alcohol infused and passed out right on the street. And we helped him up. I knew who he was. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. That's a true story.
I believe it.
And he was coming from an after hours club on 101st Street and Broadway. And
That's
he
crazy.
was tore up. And so whenever somebody mentions his name, this has nothing to do with how great he is, doesn't diminish anything. It's a personal story that I helped him to his feet, put him on the bus.
We're all human beings, right, man? We are so
seriously.
human. Up and down.
Seriously.
Up and down.
That's
all right,
crazy.
guys.
What year was that?
I don't know. I must have been in high
the
school.
80s or something? Okay, high school.
Maybe 70s.
Wow,
ahead.
that's cool, man. That's cool stuff. Wow.
Thank
you,
gentlemen.
guys.
We're going to need to do this again